Welcome back to the show, everybody. On August 8th, a special screening of the new film Island Soldier will take place, and Nathan Fitch is the filmmaker behind that project, and he joins me right now to talk about it. Nathan, thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so I want to talk about exactly what motivated you to tell the story, and then what was the story itself?
Sure. So from 2004 to 2006, I was a Peace Corps volunteer in the FSM, doing historic preservation work, primarily on an island called Kosrae. And it's the third week I was there. I was walking down this really isolated beach in a village called Walong. Still doesn't have electricity, very, very peaceful. And I walked past this man who was wearing camouflage fatigues, and he addressed me, and we talked for a little bit. And he had just gotten back from Iraq 2 days before. He was home on furlough in Micronesia from a war zone. And that moment was really shocking. I mean, for me, the idea, this juxtaposition of going from a war zone to one of the most peaceful remote islands in the world was like a really strange idea. And then I started to wonder about sort of people from Micronesia. Then after that story, I heard about more and more people who had family in the military, who were leaving to go to the military. And I guess it just evolved out of my becoming a part of the community there, and then being really interested in military service and the impacts that it has upon the FSM.
Yeah, that's a pretty remarkable process to go through. Had you any filmmaking experience prior to that?
No, my background was in illustration, so it was drawing. So it was visually oriented, but
storytelling of a different medium.
Yeah.
Okay.
But this is my first feature-length film.
All right. Well, congratulations. That's an amazing achievement. Now, how did you get it funded? How was it greenlit?
I've used a lot of my own resources, and I've been fortunate enough to get support from the KUAM Humanities Council, who's been very supportive, and I've been funded through Pacific Islanders and Communication in Hawaii. So those are the two principal.
Okay. How many interviews did you do, like, in conducting, this whole project, and like, how long did it take for you to put this whole thing together?
I mean, honestly, I've been working on this project. It started off really casually.
Casually? Yeah.
It started off really casually. After I finished the Peace Corps, I came back to the U.S. and I started visiting my Micronesian friends on different military bases. Like if I'd go, one year I went to Seattle for Christmas, and so I drove over to Fort Lewis, and there were about 60 Kosraeans who got together and had like a barbecue. And so the project just sort of came out of like having access to these communities on different bases. And so I started doing that about 4 or 5 years ago. And then over the course of the project, I've probably done 40 or 50 interviews with veterans, soldiers, family members.
Now, what kind of similarities or maybe parallels did you learn from like talking to all those different people about, maybe their upbringing, and then what they learned from going into the military, and then maybe experiencing, I don't want to say, maybe the atrocities of war, because most of them saw battle, I'm assuming.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say the vast majority saw conflict at least once, and many of them have done 3 or 4 tours. It's not uncommon. Sorry, what was the question?
No, did they see this as like maybe a unique form of opportunity, and like were they forever changed by their experience in the military, or did they want to go back in?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think military service offers an opportunity to get an education, to help provide for your family. The motivations are pretty clear that are motivating FSM citizens to join. And I think the changes, my documentary follows a number of young people who have joined the military, and I follow them through the process. And the change that you can see over the course of 6 months, from a young person living in Micronesia to a young person in the military, I mean, it's a pretty striking, the culture, it's a huge cultural shift, I would say.
How has their attitude changed? Because like for somebody, that grew up on an island, and, like you yourself said, it's that very peaceful, very serene, kind of like laid back island spirit, and then you go to being, a lean, mean killing machine, essentially. Like,
right.
And what branch of service were most of the people that you interviewed?
A lot were in infantry, I would say.
Okay.
Army, but all branches. I've interviewed people in the Marines, the Navy, Air Force. So the change. In a way, I think that in the FSM there is a sort of an idea of the collective good over the individual, like you are part of a community and you do things for the good of the community. And I think in a way, FSM citizens have a bit of an advantage possibly in transitioning into military life, in that I think the military, it's also about the good of the military as a whole.
How big was your crew? Was it, obviously you yourself were doing a lot of the writing and conducted obviously the interviews and everything, but did you have, you know, like a big technical crew behind you, and were they like tremendously experienced in HD, or was it completely one-man band?
I'm part of the Brooklyn Filmmakers Collective in New York, and so I've gotten a lot of like support, like editing help from different people, and then I've hired, you know, people to do sound here and there, but I've done the vast majority of it. It's all been shot on DSLRs.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
Okay,
Synced audio.
so your own takeaways notwithstanding, what will I and, you know, the people that witness this film, what are we going to learn, and what will we take away from this about, you know, the Micronesian experience in the U.S. military?
Sure. I think one thing that really I hope people take away is that I feel like I live in New York, and so I'm not hearing about this so much, but when I do hear about FSM citizens, it's generally negative connotations in Hawaii about healthcare or Guam. And I think that this movie is a counter narrative to that idea of FSM citizens as maybe not contributing as much. And I think this film follows characters who are people who are making great contributions and sacrifices.
All right, excellent. So that's going to be on August 8th, and where's it going to be screened at?
The Dado, actually you're going to have to help me.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, we'll make sure to put that on. Oh, okay, the Dado Senior Center.
Yeah.
On August 8th from 6 to 9 p.m.
Exactly. Dado Center?
Yeah.
Dado Center from 6 to 9.
And that's going to have a panel afterwards
Yes.
where you discuss it and everything. Okay, as a movie buff, I can't wait to check it out. So
Absolutely.
thanks so much.
Can't wait.
All right, and stay tuned because we will be right back right after this.